I'm in conversation with Rakul Preet Singh and she stars in De De Pyar De. Rakul, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
You know, first I want to ask you, you have 7 releases this year. I just happened to go through your filmography. You have Telugu, Tamil, Hindi, and I think it started with NTR Kadanayakadu.
Oh, I didn't count that. I was like, yeah, that was a special appearance.
You played Sridevi in the film, so
yes.
You know, I'm pretty sure that's quite an important role in that sense.
Yes.
And you have 7 releases. You know,
actually, now coming to think of it, it was like, yeah, that's why I didn't have a release last year.
That's true, because you know it must be really tough, sort of, you know, doing the balancing act.
It is. I would be lying if I say it's not, because the South and the Hindi industry, they both work very differently. They're both professional, but they work very differently in the way the films are timed. Like here we do a start to finish, one look. There I do like 3-4 films at the same time, you know, 1 week and 10 days in the old school way. So yes, it is very difficult to manage all. And which is why when I was doing De De, I did not shoot for anything in Telugu because I was shooting for 3 films in Tamil and De De. So they felt that I've gone somewhere else, and I was like, no, hold on guys, like I don't know how to manage this. But then, I enjoy it.
You know, it's quite interesting. Actors used to shoot like say 3 or 4 films or 5 films at one go. Some time back, a few years back, that trend sort of, you know, seems to have died out. But you sort of kept it alive in that sense.
That's because I'm dabbling with different industries. I don't think, you know, one would do that if I'm working only in Hindi and only in Telugu. Of course, like I said, South works like that, so maybe 2-3 films at all points. But because I am in 3 different boats, it just happened like that. I mean, I didn't realize I had 7 releases till you mentioned. I started counting in my head, really.
So let me come to, you know, De De Pyar De. You've of course starred in Yariyan and Ayari in Hindi films, and this is your 3rd film in that sense. So there's been a bit of a gap between these films. What really transpired, and how did you, you know, essentially bag this role?
So, you know, of course, Ayari was last year, so there wasn't any gap. Before Ayari released, I had signed De De. But there was a gap between Yariya and Ayari, and which wasn't something that I had planned or thought of. Yariya was my first film, and I started shooting for my first film in Telugu 3 days after I finished shooting for Yariya.
Oh, okay.
Which is what not a lot of people know. And they think that after this released I went there, but I started shooting for that film, but it released 2 months before Yariyan released, and it became a big hit. It was a good success and I had a great role, and so by the time Yariyan released and we started promotions, I had 2-3 films that I had signed, because like I just told you, you work, you know, suddenly you're like this new kid on the block and you know everyone wants you, and I signed those films. So I did the promotions, this film released, and I went back to shooting those films, and that got me more work, and you know, before I knew, I was working with some of the biggest stars, doing some of the biggest films, and I just got busy there. So I didn't really have a thought in my head that arey gap aa gaya, or you know, I've not gone back, or I need to go, because I was surrounded with good work. So I thought, okay, let me, like, you know, keep working and have like a stable position or kind of solidify in one place before I start, you know, trying to work there, because obviously I didn't know anybody there or here. So I was very grateful that I'm getting good work in the first place, and I just thought, let me just kind of do the work that I'm getting for now, and then we'll see when I am a star in one place, and then I'll see the kind of work that I get from other industries, and then we'll see. And that's what happened. So I was supposed to do Dhoni, but because of dates it didn't happen last minute, and then Ayari came, so it was more like I have to work with Neeraj sir. This is the 2nd time, actually 3rd time, because the first audition I gave ever in my life was for Neeraj sir.
All right.
But
that was for which film?
That film never happened.
All
So
right.
he really liked me in that film, but that film didn't happen and Special 26 happened.
Okay.
So when Ayari came, I was like, forget everything, I have to do it because the universe brings his name every time around me. And I'm meant to work with him and I love his school of film. So that's how Ayari happened. And then while I was here in Bombay, I did another round of meetings while I was still working constantly there, that being the core market. And that's when I had met Akif sir, because he was the same casting director for Ayari and for Deve. And I met him and I forgot about it again. I went back to shooting my films. And then again, while I was here for promotions, I kind of called everybody back again as to what's happening on those films. And surprisingly, they were wanting to reach out to me around. So Akif sir was like, "Main soch hi raha tha, I'm going to call you. Come to the office if you can." Then they did my photo shoots for 2 days, screen tested me and stuff, because obviously, as you know, Aisha is an important role and it's a very big role.
She is, I mean, if the three of you are the lead, then
yes,
you know, she is one of the leads in that sense.
Yes. So they screen tested me and 2 days all that went on, and then I had the film.
What's also interesting is that after say a Yariya and a Ayari, this film seems to be, you know, giving you your due in the sense that you already had a career, a very successful career in the South as a lead actor, and this film sort of gave you the platform in the Hindi industry,
I agree.
so to speak.
I think this film showcases me in the conventional Hindi film heroine space, if I can say so. And I would like to thank Akif sir and Love sir for that. You know why? Because it's not like I was launched like this. For someone, see, if this was my launch film, it's easy to say, okay, put her in another commercial setups. But I was seen in Ayari, and I was a kid when I was in Yari. I was 20 when I was in Yari. So to have that vision that this girl can look this part, and because I lost weight for this film, so I wasn't obviously this fit and, you know, toned, but they could see that she can pull this off. So I'd like to thank their vision, to say that, you know, I can carry Aisha
on your shoulders,
on my shoulders, and it's a role which is at par with both the roles. So I can't thank them enough.
You know, I have something to ask you. You know, in our society, when it comes to films, nobody really bats an eyelid when, say, a 50-year-old actor is paired with a, you know, a 26-year-old heroine. In that sense,
right?
It's accepted. You know, male actors have that kind of stardom for the longest period in their lives.
Right.
Now, when this film script was narrated to you, did you actually see this film as a ageist film in that sense?
See, it's not an ageist film. It's a film where age is not what they're talking about. That's one part of it. They are talking about many more things, you know, where the relationship, he's dating a younger woman in a different phase of his life while he's not married. But they're also talking about the dynamics of both these relationships. They're talking about his relationship with his family and how he wants to bring everything together. And it's very new age in that sense, where people shy from talking about different equations in relationships, you know. I mean, exes can be friends, and that's how everyone is today.
Right.
So, but we don't really show it, or we don't talk about it. So when he told me, when he narrated the script to me, I thought it was really fun, because honestly, I have a friend who's actually gotten married to a guy who's 1 year older than her father.
Okay.
3 years back.
That's interesting.
3 years back. So, and I have so many people around me I've seen who at least have a 15-16 year age difference. And why now? I mean, look at the earlier times, our grandparents' times. The 16-year-old, 18-year-old girls used to get married to 40-year-old men.
So that's not unusual.
It's not unusual.
That is not the selling point of the film.
That wasn't the selling point of the film. You know, that's a part of the film. And that's why we've not dwelt on their equations not matching. She's 26, he's not, because that's okay. I mean, they're mentally the same age, and that's why they're, you know, together.
It works.
The whole story is how is it dealt with in the family scenario, you know, how does the family take it?
And that's quite surprising, you know, in the sense that, like I said, that we can see heroes on screen romancing younger heroines, but when it comes to society at large, people frown upon, such
Right.
equations.
Right.
Which is where I think the dichotomy is.
Right. I think people frown upon, there's a certain section of society which will always frown upon relationships in general. I think in the cities or largely people are today very acceptable to different non-conventional relationships. But otherwise people who want to talk will also talk about a girl and a guy at a coffee date. Dekha, they are there.
Yes.
So whether you're a girl and a guy, whether you're two girls, whether you're two guys, whether you have an age difference, the
There's
ones
no
who want to talk,
escaping it.
because they strive on gossip. So I don't think you can make everyone happy.
Well said. Another aspect, which of course the lead actor in the film actually says this word out loud, misogynistic. Do you think that, he says that, I'm not being, that is misogynistic,
Yeah.
the way you're talking about women, that they are gold diggers if they,
Yeah,
date
I
somebody
make
who's
fun
older.
of myself in the film just to kind of, that's what the character says, that obviously people would say, I have this huge dialogue where I say people are going to think that I am, one, but
It's never thought of the other way around, that, the man could be a gold digger as well. Do you feel that there is a sort of disparity there?
It is spoken actually. If you see, there were films, there's so many films in the 90s where the girl comes from the rich family, the guy is a taxi driver, and वो पैसे के पीछे तुम्हारे पीछे पड़ा है. All that used to happen.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's just media that is stronger now, and we have so many people writing about it that we feel is being spoken more about right now.
Right.
There have been more films in the past especially about
The
girl
age
and the guy, the
and
girl, different backgrounds as such.
Social backgrounds,
Social
age,
backgrounds.
all this has been explored,
Yeah.
you're saying. It's not something
Yeah.
new in that sense. Talking about, you spoke about having worked with, big stars in the South. Yes, you worked with, Junior NTR, Ram Charan, Ravi Teja. In fact, you have a film
Mahesh
coming up
Babu.
with Surya and
Yeah.
Nagarjuna Akineni.
Yes.
What is the difference? Now you worked with, Siddharth Malhotra, you worked with Ajay Devgan. Apart from the fact that, they are different industries, of course, what is the difference in terms of, working with stars in both these industries?
Stars is a term that we have coined. They are people.
Right.
And it's always an experience independently with one person. So an experience with an Nag sir would be an experience with him independently, and an experience with a Mahesh sir will be with him. So I can't generalize that working with stars is like this, because each one of them is different, and each one of them, to be honest, are stars because they are very grounded and they're very normal. They're as normal can be. So I think I've had a great experience working with everyone. Obviously, my equation with an Ajay sir would be different than what my equation with a Siddharth or a Charan is, because it's more like I can be like, hey Sid, what's up?
That's
but
exactly what I
I
was
can't
gonna
go
ask
and
you.
say that to Ajay sir, hey Ajay, what's up? What are you doing in the scene today? So I can't go and do that. But and that's because they're more experienced, they're senior actors, seasoned actors. We've grown up watching them, so you have that respect and that code of conduct with them.
But that code of conduct, is that something which acts as a deterrent? Because see, when you're doing a scene,
Right.
you can't be reverential.
Absolutely not.
Right? You have to be the character.
You have to be the character, and you have to be very comfortable in doing what you do. And in fact, before we started shooting, that was my not concern but a thought as to how am I going to break the ice, because especially where it's a romantic relationship and it's a love story. It's not where I am there for songs and dances and 2 scenes and it ho jayega. So I might have to bite his ear, like in the song, I might have to do whatever, but how will it be? So that was just a thought in my head, but to my surprise, he was so nice and he said, aapko jo karna hoga karna. So he made sure that I was comfortable beforehand, because he's a spontaneous actor and so am I. Like at times while you're doing the scene, you feel like you just want to do this, you just want to add a tap, like you might just want to do something at that point. So you can't have that thought, oh, what is he going to think, have I overstepped? But he was so comfortable and secure about what he is doing and the space that I as a character need to do. Like Aisha needs to be that free bird and Ashish needs to be the restrained and the laid back one. That all of them understood that, and I was given enough space, and I didn't even need to make an effort to break the ice. It was already broken. I met him for the first time on set, first day of shoot, and it was easy.
How important is it for you when you read a script that the film is progressive? I mean, is that a requirement today when you read a script, or would you even do a role with, say, perhaps the politics of which you don't agree with?
Absolutely. I don't think every film needs to be progressive. Films are made for entertainment. Every film doesn't have to be preachy. Having said that, there's always a permutation combination that draws you towards a film. Say what I'm doing in Marjava is a commercial film. Now that's mass, that's commercial, that may happen, might not happen, but that gave me a different high. That my role is very different. It's got that 90s flavor. I don't think it used to be earlier, like I have not seen in the recent times a role being written like that. So that gave me a high that I'll get to do something new and something
There's a certain retro feel to it, you're saying.
Yeah, I can't speak too much now because it's too early to speak, but it's very different, and it's not, I'm not saying not progressive, but it's not something that that's happening around. This is a slice of life drama, and this is something I could instantly connect with, because I said that I've seen friends around, and even the way they flirt, it's very healthy flirting that goes on, and that's how people talk in the cities, at least in my groups around. So I think sometimes it's the maker that you want to work with, sometimes it's the director, sometimes you love the role. So you just pick and choose from what your instinct says at that point.
Right. Talking about your South films, how tough or easy was it for you to understand the language, because there's Tamil and there is Telugu?
See, Tamil I started only 2 years back. I majorly I'm working on my 17th film in Telugu right now. And first 1 year is when I didn't know the language, but within a year I started speaking broken, and right now I speak Telugu as if I'm talking in Hindi.
Your first language. You dub for your films as well.
I will dub for my next film. I have dubbed for one film.
Yes.
But then because I was so packed, and dubbing requires 10-15 days because it's a completely different language, and to get the pronunciation right, then I didn't dub. But now I'm going to dub myself. That I have decided, whatever films. But I speak Telugu as fluently as I speak Punjabi.
That's incredible, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is what you do as an actor. You get to do so many things which you otherwise
I think it just helped me, and I learned it because on the go every day I made that effort to learn, and then I just realized that my work gets easier and I can add so many more nuances. And I realized after 5-6 films that now that I know the language, it's getting better by the day. I can add words, I can just take pauses where I want, otherwise I would just go by what the assistant director is telling me. So when you start understanding, it's much more nicer. So now I have slangs in Telugu. I'm like, yay.
Totally, in the groove as far as the language is concerned.
Yeah.
Also, what's interesting is, I watch a lot of Tamil films. I've watched a lot of Telugu films. Every sort of, state has its own sort of cultural nuances when it comes to a film. There's a certain way in which even, say, love is depicted.
Right.
In, a Tamil film or a Telugu film or a Hindi film. Do you as an actor ever sort of, think about those things? Is it important for you to understand that to be a good actor?
So when obviously there is, but that's not got anything to do with the region. That's got what you're doing with the film and what your role, what your character is in the film. So if I'm playing a city girl, and even if it's a Telugu film and I'm a girl from London, I am a very chill girl, and it'll be very something that the people in the Hindi audiences will resonate with.
Right.
But if I'm playing a village girl, the way I like, there was a Tamil film of mine called Dhiran Adhikaram Ondru, and I play a village girl in this small town, you know, and she's very naive, and so my body language completely has to be different. The way she speaks through her eyes is very different. So that's something that's not got anything to do with the language. It's the role that you play.
The language really doesn't, play a part in sort of, in say, as far as emoting is concerned. That's what you're saying. You know, Rakul, what's also interesting is that many South actors try to make, break into Hindi cinema. You look at a Jayaprada, you look at a Sridevi. I'm talking about the past. Now, in the recent, decade or so, many leading ladies in the South have actually emerged from the North. Why do you think this has happened? And, how and why do you think, directors and makers in the South have embraced so many, leading ladies from the North?
It's been happening for a while now. It's not now. Again, I'd say that because we talk more about it, we are more exposed and aware that this is happening. Like Tabu ma'am used to work in Telugu. Every actor has worked. Preet Zinta, Katrina Kaif worked in Telugu and then came here. People worked here and then went there. Today an Alia is working there, Shraddha is working there. I think the industry has always been aware of who's working where, because at the end of the day we're one country. Yes, it's a different industry because those people, it's a different language, but people have always observed, and it's been very welcoming vice versa. Whether it was a Sridevi ji, who's a Telugu girl who was working there, and the Hindi industry absolutely absorbed her because of her pure talent, or it's the other way around. I think at the end of the day, what makers are looking for is people who fit their roles, talent, and that's what sustains and survives in the end of it.
And do you feel that perhaps this is the only sort of domain where it's easier for women? Because the men seem to struggle that much more when they have to sort of, say, juggle two industries. Because Kamal Hassan famously said that, he said that, when I came to work in the Hindi film industry, I realized that there were more films being made down south which I was missing out on.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a struggle.
That's a difference that both the industries work very differently. Like I told you in the beginning of the interview.
Yes.
I also had to miss out on a lot of Telugu work when I signed Dede, because this film required, clearly you've seen the length, so required a lot of my time.
Yes.
I would have done 2-3 films, or at least signed 2-3 films at that point and broken the schedules and done that, but I gave a year here. But then I was ready to do that because I liked this role, But the media there wrote like left, right and center saying, why has she gone missing? There's no release, And I said, hold on, there are only 360 days in a year, and I'm working on 3 in Tamil and 1 in Hindi, and I can't, so stop. Treat an actor like doing films, not like, oh, she's doing Telugu or Tamil, or why is she not doing Telugu? Because I can only do 4 at a time, which was also very difficult. But I guess, and that's why Kamal sir said that because he would have done 2-3 there and he's doing 1 here.
Correct.
Which is what I also faced.
Sometimes.
But even now, which is what I also faced. I would have done 2-3 there, but I did 1 here. But it's what you want to do.
Right.
And after a certain point, you can do, I did that in the beginning phase of my career, but now I don't want to do 3-4 at a time, because I feel I want to, now work on doing that one better, because you understand your school of work better. So I want to do that one role and then move to the next and bring and show that versatility between every role, and also because I can take that time, and if I take that 6 months off and say I'm waiting for a good script, I can afford to take that after doing so many films.
Right.
It's
you
not
reach
in the
that
beginning,
position now.
Right. It's not in the beginning of my career where I'm gone missing.
Right.
So I feel it's what you are looking for in your life at that point, and what is it that you prioritize, and what is it that you want to do, which matters.
So, I'm going to just wrap up. What's the, larger goal? What's the larger aspiration? Do you want to be a superstar who's known as a pan-India star? Or do you feel that, since you've already established yourself in the Telugu industry, now you're gonna, you're sort of gunning for the Hindi film industry?
I would be lying if I say I'm not gunning for it.
Right.
Of course I am. Otherwise I wouldn't put so much effort, and who doesn't want, because it's obviously larger audience. But having said that, I'd like to balance as much as I can. But this is a newer industry and newer people, and as an actor everybody wants to grow. Now whether if it's a Hindi actor, they want to go to Hollywood because you want to grow as a person. You want to work in different industries. So I would want to explore a different industry and work and try to get different roles, and I'm hoping that they gets me that kind
Absolutely.
of those kind of roles that I can work more here.
Right. Thank you so much. It was wonderful chatting with you.
Same here.
And hope to see you more in the Hindi, industry,
Thank
in the
you
films
so
that the
much.
Hindi industry, makes
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.